Good morning. So this is the beginning of the day 3 of Every Bit Counts challenge. I'm getting ready to head out for the day, but before I go, I'm working on a couple different things to go forward, to have things to do tonight and the next day and the next day. So a lot of things that you prep or put away for another time isn't something that you just do and it's done. You gotta plant the seeds before you can grow the produce, before you can pick the produce, before you can process the produce. So this is just something like that. So along those lines. So what I am doing is with tomatoes this morning. I am taking tomatoes that were picked a few days ago. I am cutting, these are pasta sauce tomatoes or paste tomatoes, Roma type tomatoes. These are called Salvatore, and these are my favorite. I planted 2 different paste tomatoes this year, and the alpaca just has not done well, whereas the Salvatore has done really well. So I'm slicing off the tops and cutting away any bad spots and throwing those into the crock pot. I got the crock pot on warm. Normally I would have it on low if I had it in the smaller crock pot, but this one tends to run a little bit faster. And I'm taking what I'm cutting off and I'm just putting it in a freezer bag, and that is going to end up feeding something else, which we'll go on with another time. So that's how we're starting the day today. So I finished doing what I was going to do this morning for cutting the tomatoes. I'm going to keep these in the crock pot, and and this, the bad parts that I cut off, and like the tops, most of the stems, this is going to go in the refrigerator. And I'm off for the day, and I'll see you a little bit later. Hi, it's evening now. I got home about 4:30 or so. I went out and worked in the garden for a few hours. 7 o'clock, it was still 90 degrees. So I come in and take a shower, and now we're going to get started on what the actual day 3 challenge is for Every Bit Counts. I'm going to be also working while doing it, working on something that I will be doing tomorrow for day 4, or for part of day 4. There's a lot of things that have to happen like in the next few days, so it's hard to like divide it all up. If I waited too long, things would end up going to waste. So there's going to be some days that I'm probably going to get more than one thing done, and hopefully I'll still be able to complete the challenge with things every day for the month of August. So the first thing is I'm going to be freeze drying some apples. Our freeze dryer came a couple weeks ago. We did a few batches of cucumbers. I froze the cucumbers ahead of time, and I didn't have any seasoning, so I was like using salt water and stuff. It wasn't great. What turned out wasn't great, but I haven't given up yet. I did go out and buy some seasoning, and I'm going to try some different things, but we're going to do some apples. Our apple tree this year had produced probably 3 times as much as what it did last year. Now, none of the apples are pretty. They all have little spots on them. They're not pretty, but that's because they are organic. We're not spraying them. I actually don't even know what kind of apples these are. We had enough to make like 1 pie last year, and a couple that we ate fresh. But I'm gonna go ahead and peel these. Now, the videos that I have watched about doing the freeze-dried apples, they said to leave the peels on. Because these peels aren't very appealing, I think I'm going to peel all of them. I might leave some of them on there, but for the most part I'm going to be peeling them all. I'm also going to be using the peels for tomorrow's project. So this is what we got out of this year's harvest. There were a few of them that were getting really beaten down by the bugs, and we just fed those to the chickens. So now I'm just going to get started on peeling some of them. I have never been a great peeler. I would be using the apple peeler corer that I think Pampered Chef puts out if it slice them. I want to do these in like quarters. So that's the plan. Also going to be doing them and filling the trays right away. The trays are relatively small, so I don't want to do like way more apple than what I have room to put on the trays. So I'm going to use this little thing. I have no idea where this came from. I've had it for years, and just use it to quarter it. And try not to cut my fingers off while doing it. Thinking I'm going to cut some of the bigger ones, whereas they're not, you know, these apples aren't perfectly shaped. Cut some of the bigger ones a little bit smaller than quarter, so they're thicker than what pie slices would be if you're going to use them for pies. I have the freeze dryer cooling down. It's supposed to take like 15 minutes before you can put the trays in until it's ready for the trays. I'm not going to keep this on the whole time to have you watch me do this, so I will come back on. So it took 15 apples to fill all 4 trays, and before I finished the second tray, I noticed the first tray was already starting to turn the, you know how apples, they turn color, so I threw them in a bowl with some water and then put some lemon juice on it just to prevent that. It seemed to do the trick. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drain them, and then I'm going to sprinkle them with this seasoning, which is not exactly organic, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, my favorite cereal. I saw the seasoning at the store, and I'm like, that would be great for apples, and probably great for peaches and for anything else I decide to put in there that's fruit. If I hadn't found this, I was just gonna do a little bit of cinnamon and sugar on it anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll get ready to load the freeze dryer if it's ready. I see now that I probably could have done a few more apples and had them a little bit tighter on the tray. But I'm gonna go ahead and load it up and get it started. So we are locked and loaded, and it's ready for its cycle that will take a while. And back to it tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be using these apple scraps for day 4. Every bit counts. So that concludes day 3 of Every Bit Counts challenge. A little bit every day. It's not something I actually can put on the shelf today because the process of the freeze dryer takes a little bit longer. But tomorrow we'll be able to put them into containers and have them for snacks. Good night. Thanks for joining me today. If you like this video, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. Be a blessing and be blessed.